Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke met behind closed doors today with members of the Senate Banking Committee in an attempt to defend the Fed's $600 billion bond purchase plan that's being attacked on multiple fronts around the world. Our next guest, Senator Judge Gregg, a member of the Banking Committee, was inside today's private meeting and joins us now with some of the details. Senator Gregg, you're very kind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on, Larry. I always appreciate it.
All right, so what did Mr. Bernanke tell you all? What did you learn?
Well, he said that they felt they needed to do this because of the deflationary nature of the economy right now. They feel that the initiative will reduce interest rates by 30 to 40 basis points, and they feel that that will translate into 700,000 to 1 million new jobs over the next 2 years. He also was rather, well, he was, you know, the chairman is calm and understated, but he was not supportive of the comments made by China and Germany relative to this. He thinks their case is hard to make on the grounds that basically China manipulates its currency, so why is it attacking us for doing something which we're trying to do, where he represents we're trying to get the economy going? And of course the Germans like a weak euro because they depend on exports.
You know, I saw this 700,000 to 1 million new jobs over the next 2 years. Senator, that's less than the job creation we're getting right now. And at the risk of inflation and a slumping dollar, it just doesn't seem like a great trade-off. Has that thought occurred to you?
My view, I have not signed on to this approach. I come from the Wayne Angell school of monetary policy. I believe that the primary purpose of the Fed should be to defend the currency and to fight inflation. And I guess I could justify this if the deflationary forces which he claims exists are as significant as they believe they are, and I don't personally have that information. That would be a legitimate reason to do this. I do not think job creation is going to occur as a result of this myself of any significance. I think that's sort of a pie in the sky argument.
I mean, did he say anything about the long-term interest rates? The Fed says they're going to come down. But actually, since they've launched the program, long-term interest rates have gone up quite a lot. Did he say anything about that? It's almost like the market's revolting against the Fed.
I'm not making his case for him, but he's very capable of doing that himself. But the way he presented it was this. He said that basically the markets had built in the reduction in long-term interest rates prior to the action because they had signaled the action so early, and that he said there was a 75 basis point drop in long-term rates prior to the action. I think that they believe that over the long term, this is the right course because primarily they're concerned about deflation, not inflation. And as a practical matter, they don't have a whole lot of tools left to address economic activity. And as long as the Congress is going to be totally irresponsible on the fiscal side by driving up the deficit and the debt over the long term, that's going to have much more effect on the value of the dollar, I think, than anything that they do.
Did Mr. Bernanke say anything about Senator Corker and House Member Pence and their idea to end the dual mandate of inflation and employment and instead go to an inflation target? Did Mr. Bernanke comment on that? Did it come up in the meeting?
It did. Bob was there, Senator Corker, and he's very much of an enthusiast and really one of the best senators we have around here. And he made the case again. The chairman said this is a congressional decision, that they will do whatever the Congress tells them to do in this arena. I agree with Bob's philosophy that really a full employment mandate coupled with a fighting inflation and defending the currency mandate are conflicting mandates in many instances, and that it's probably inappropriate for the Fed to have full employment as one of its two mandates. It should probably have primarily a fight inflation mandate. But I'm a little concerned about opening the door on this issue. In fact, I'm more than a little, I'm very concerned about opening the door on this issue because there are a lot of folks running around this Congress today, and there are a lot more coming, who believe we should abolish the Fed outright and that we should basically have the Congress take over monetary policy. Well, I can't think of anything worse for this nation or for the world than to have a bunch of elected politicians running the printing presses. So
you mentioned
you're going to get on a very slippery slope. You're going to get on a very slippery slope here if you start opening the door as to what the Fed responsibility is.
You know, the Wayne Angell School, which which is a commodity price rule, i.e. link the dollar to a basket of commodities or gold. Commodity prices are up about 15% in the last 6 months. The G20 ministers all ganged up on Bernanke, said that all these dollars are going to go overseas and bloat their own money supplies, and that the dollar collapse is highly risky for world growth. I mean, did these criticisms come up? Did Bernanke react or respond to anything around that?
Yes, he did, and I thought his answers in these areas were pretty good. When I talk about Wayne Angel, I consider Wayne Angel to be the ultimate inflation fighter. I'm not talking about his basket idea, which is something else, but, well, it's tied to that. But basically, when he was on the Fed, he spoke for fighting inflation first and foremost as the Fed responsibility. He did speak to this. He said, he said about the Chinese. Now, how can the Chinese be making this case? It's really more for political consumption because obviously domestically they control their currency and its value is 20 to 40% less than what its real value should be. So they really don't come to this with clean hands. He didn't use that term. That's my term. The same with the Germans. I mean, the Germans are interested primarily in exports. They want a weak euro. They don't come at this with clean hands when they attack us for trying. And in this case, I believe we're not trying to weaken the dollar. I don't believe that's the Fed's purpose. I believe the Fed's purpose is to get the inflation rate to address the deflationary cycle we're in as they see it and get us back to about a 2% inflation, which is their target.
Well, all right, Senator Gregg, we'll leave it there. It sounds like Mr. Bernanke against the world, but we appreciate your update very much.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, many thanks, Senator Judge Gregg. My quick takeaway is listening to Mr. Gregg report on this private Bernanke meeting. Ben Bernanke would rather fight than switch, and there is no indication that Bernanke intends to limit QE2 and the $600 billion money creation policy. All right.